You know, there's something about that moment when you realize nobody's coming to save you. That moment when you're standing there alone, dreams bigger than the air you breathe, but everybody else, they packed up and gone home. They don't see it, they don't feel it, they don't feel it, they don't believe in it. And yeah, it stings, it cuts deep. It's not just disappointment, it's betrayal. It's loneliness standing at the door, knocking, daring you to open up. It's 1,000 voices in your head whispering, maybe they're right. Maybe you're not enough. I know that pain. I know what it feels like when you look for someone, anyone, to just nod and say, I see you. I believe in you. And you find nothing but empty eyes, busy hands, people too consumed by their own doubts to carry yours too. It's heavy, isn't it? Carrying your own hope when the world has already declared you hopeless. Carrying your own dream when everyone else has walked away from it, like it was nothing more than a child's wish in the wind. But I need you to hear me. Just because they don't believe doesn't mean the dream died. Just because they walked away doesn't mean you were wrong. Just because they couldn't see it doesn't mean it isn't real. Their lack of belief is not your permission to give up. Their silence is not your verdict. You got something inside you that they can't see because it wasn't planted in them. It was planted in you. You've been assigned a vision they were never meant to understand. You were given a fire that wasn't made to keep them warm. It's yours to tend, yours to tend, yours to fuel, yours to carry, even when your hands are shaking and your knees are buckling and your heart is breaking under the weight of it. I know it would be easier if they believed. It would feel lighter if they cheered. But you don't need easy, you don't need light, you need real. You need the kind of belief that can weather storms, not the kind that floats away when the winds get rough. You need a belief that's built brick by brick in the dark. When nobody's watching, when nobody's clapping, when nobody's offering you a hand up, that's real belief. I remember walking into rooms where nobody knew my name, rooms where nobody cared who I was or what I wanted. I remember pouring out my heart to walls that didn't answer back. I remember standing on stages with no crowd, speaking life into empty chairs. And I remember thinking, maybe this isn't worth it, maybe they're right, maybe I should quit. Maybe I should just be average, blend in, let the dream die quietly like they wanted it to. But then I remembered, it was never about them. It was never about who clapped, who stood up, who said, I believe in you. It was always about whether or not I could believe in myself when nobody else did. Whether or not I could keep building when nobody saw the blueprint but me. Whether or not I could trust the vision even when my own eyes blurred from the tears. And I did. I kept going. I kept showing up, broken, tired, uncertain. I showed up. I spoke even when my voice shook. I built even when my hands trembled. I dreamed even when the world called me foolish. Because deep down I knew if I didn't believe, nobody would. If I didn't stand, nobody would stand for me. If I didn't fight, nobody was coming with a sword to save me. You gotta refuse to abandon yourself. You gotta look yourself in the mirror when the tears are streaming and say, I got you. You gotta look at your dream when it's battered and bruised and say, I still believe in you. You gotta put one foot in front of the other even when your body screams to lie down and give up. Because the truth is, it's not their belief that will get you there. It's yours. It's not their applause that will build your future. It's your grit, your resilience, your stubborn refusal to quit when quitting would be so much easier. They're not supposed to believe. It wasn't assigned to them. It was assigned to them. It was assigned to you. That's why the vision burns in your chest and not theirs. That's why you can't sleep at night because you're dreaming too loud. That's why you feel that pull, that ache, that call that won't leave you alone. Listen to me. You are enough. You are enough right now as you are. Not when you're successful. Not when you've made it. Not when the world finally notices. Right now, in the quiet when nobody's looking, you're enough because the belief you're building right now in the silence, stronger than any validation they could ever give you. You've got to fall in love with being overlooked. You've got to find strength in being doubted. You've got to turn their rejection into your resurrection. Because if you can rise when nobody believes, imagine what you'll do when you believe in yourself so fiercely that nothing can shake you. I'm telling you, the people who change the world are not the ones who waited for permission. They're not the ones who needed a crowd to get started. They're the ones who built in the dark, trusted the seed before it sprouted, believed in the invisible before it became visible, visible. They're the ones who stood alone long enough for the ground beneath them to shift. You don't need more people clapping for you. You need to start clapping for yourself. You don't need another voice telling you you're worthy. You need to wake up every day and remind yourself, you're already worthy, already called, already enough. Every step you take when nobody believes is an act of defiance against the doubt. Every move you make without applause is a declaration that your worth was never tied to their opinions anyway. Every moment you choose to keep going when quitting would be easier is a moment that defines you, shapes you, molds you into something unstoppable. I'm talking to that part of you that's tired, that part of you that's wondering if maybe it's time to let go of the dream. I'm talking to that part of you that's been carrying disappointment after disappointment, wondering if you misheard the call on your life. I'm talking to the part of you that's too stubborn to give up, but too heartbroken to keep going easily. I see you. Keep believing, not because it's easy, not because it feels good, but because you are worth fighting for. Your dream is worth protecting. Your calling is worth every tear, every lonely night, every moment of doubt. One day they'll look back and wonder how you did it, how you kept going, how you survived when everyone counted you out. But you'll know it wasn't magic. It wasn't luck. It was belief. A belief that you built in the ashes of every rejection. A belief that you forged in the fires of every disappointment. A belief that you grew with your own hands when nobody else would lend theirs. You're not crazy for believing in something they can't see. You're not foolish for holding on to a dream that nobody else understands. You are chosen. You are called. You are crafted for something bigger. And yeah, it's heavy. Yeah, it's lonely. But the loneliness is molding you. The abandonment is sharpening you. The silence is teaching you to hear your own voice louder than this ever could be. They may never believe. They may never believe. They may never see. They may never understand. But none of that matters as long as you refuse to abandon yourself. As long as you keep showing up. As long as you keep building when the crowd is nowhere in sight. As long as you keep loving the dream enough to fight for it alone. You don't need them. You never did. You need you. You need your courage, your fire, your hunger, your resilience. You need to become the one you were waiting for. You need to stand up for yourself when nobody else will. You need to be the loudest believer in a room full of doubt. Because at the end of the day, it's not about who believed first. It's about who kept believing longest, who refused to fold, who refused to quit, who refused to let the world's doubt drown out their own faith. And when you stand there at the finish line, not needing their approval, not needing their cheers, you'll know you didn't just win. You became something unstoppable. You became your own hero. You know what they don't tell you? They don't tell you that the world is cold. They don't tell you that you can have the brightest dream and still feel like you're standing in the middle of a frozen desert. They don't tell you that sometimes the louder you shout your vision, the quieter the world becomes. That sometimes the more you fight for something, the more resistance you face, not less. And in those moments when everything outside of you feels cold, dead, and empty, you have to learn how to create your own fire. You have to learn how to dig deeper than your fear, deeper than your insecurity, deeper than your disappointment, and spark something that no storm can put out. Because if you're waiting for the world to light that fire for you, you're already lost. That fire has to be yours. It has to be sacred. It has to be built from everything they said you couldn't be, everything they said you couldn't have. Every time they turned their back on you. Every time they laughed at you. Every time they doubted you. You take all of it and you feed the flame. You don't let it snuff you out. You let it ignite you. I'm telling you, you've got to get to a place where you stop needing the sun to shine on you. You become your own sun. You stop waiting for someone to open the door. You build your own door, your own house, your own kingdom. You don't beg for light. You create it. You command it. You become it. And don't think for 1 second it's easy. You're gonna have days when the fire flickers so low you're scared it's gonna die. You're gonna have nights where the cold creeps in and makes you wonder if it's even worth it to keep feeding the flame. You're gonna have moments when you feel foolish, standing there in the dark, guarding a tiny flicker of hope while everyone else moved on. But I promise you that little fire, That's everything. Because the people who make it, they aren't the ones who had perfect circumstances. They aren't the ones who had all the support and all the answers and all the comfort. The people who make it are the ones who learn how to keep the fire alive inside them when there was no sign of life outside them. The ones who believed in the heat even when they were surrounded by ice. The ones who kept breathing life into the flame, whispering, "Not today." You've got to build a fire so relentless that when failure comes knocking, your fire answers the door with a grin and says, "You don't scare me." You've got to build a fire that laughs in the face of loneliness, a fire that dances in the storms, a fire that refuses to die just because things got hard. Because they will get hard. Let's be real about it. There will be days you will wonder if it's all a waste of time. There will be days you will question if the dream is dead, but the fire inside you is what tells the difference between those who almost made it and those who did. The fire inside you is what separates survivors from conquerors. I remember times when I had nothing but that fire. No money, no connections, no safety nets, just a stubborn little flame that refused to go out. And you know what? That's all I needed. That's all you need. That fire is your proof that you still got a shot. That as long as you can still feel the burn inside you, you're not finished yet. But you gotta guard it, you gotta protect it like your life depends on it. Because it does. You can't let the wrong voices pour water on it. You can't let the wrong environment suffocate it. You can't let bitterness, jealousy, or fear smother it. Your fire is your responsibility. It's not your mama's job. It's not your best friend's job. It's not your coach's job. It's yours. You've got to wake up every day and feed that fire with gratitude, with discipline, with belief. You've got to throw wood on it every time you get a no, every time you get rejected, every time you get overlooked. You've got to say, "Thank you for the fuel." You've got to say, "This just made me hungrier." You've got to take every ounce of pain and turn it into power. Every setback into a setup for something greater. And listen to me. That fire doesn't just keep you warm, it transforms you. It refines you. It burns off the parts of you that were never built to carry the blessing coming your way. It shapes you into somebody who can handle the weight of the dream you've been given. Because let me tell you the truth, dreams are heavy. Success is heavy. Purpose is heavy. And if you haven't built a fire strong enough to carry it, it'll crush you. That's why you're being tested now. That's why it feels like nobody understands you, like nobody's clapping for you, like nobody cares. Because you're being forged, you're being strengthened, you're being prepared. The fire inside you isn't just for survival, it's for transformation, it's for ascension, it's for elevation. You're not supposed to just make it through, you're supposed to rise. You're supposed to glow so brightly that even the ones who doubted you have to shield their eyes. But you can't do any of that if you keep waiting for someone else to light the match. You've got to light it yourself. You've got to strike that spark against the rough places. You've got to keep striking it even when your hands are bloody, even when your heart is tired, even when your mind is screaming at you to quit. Because the moment you ignite that fire for real, the moment you stop looking outside and start looking inside, that's the moment you become unstoppable. That's the moment the world shifts in your favor. That's the moment your energy becomes undeniable, magnetic, powerful beyond measure. You won't need to explain yourself anymore. You won't need to beg anyone to understand. They'll feel it. They'll see it. They'll either move with you or get out of your way. Because real fire doesn't ask for permission. Real fire doesn't apologize for burning. Real fire doesn't shrink back because someone's uncomfortable. It roars, it blazes, it consumes. And that's the kind of fire you were born to carry. That's the kind of fire that lives inside you. Even now, even if it feels small, even if it feels fragile, it's there, waiting for you to choose it, waiting for you to feed it, waiting for you to stop wishing for easier and start becoming stronger. You don't need easier. You don't need everyone to believe. You don't need perfect conditions. You need your fire. You need your faith. You need your fight. You need your refusal to quit, your stubbornness to keep going, your heart that beats louder than the doubt outside of you. And if you keep choosing that fire, if you keep feeding it even when everything in you says, give up, One day you're gonna look up and realize you became something they couldn't touch. You became a force they couldn't stop. You became the fire that lit up a world too dark to see without you. Sometimes you're gonna have to walk alone. And I mean really alone. Not the kind of alone where people check in every once in a while. I'm talking about the kind of alone where it feels like nobody even sees you anymore. The kind of alone where it feels like you could disappear and the world wouldn't even blink. And you gotta be ready for that. You gotta expect that. Because if you're not ready for that lonely walk, you're not ready for greatness. People don't notice seeds when they're buried underground. They don't clap for you when you're invisible. They don't celebrate the work you do in the dark. Ooh. They only show up when the fruit's on the tree. They only show up when the harvest comes. But if you can't handle the silence, if you can't handle the invisibility, you'll never make it to the harvest. You gotta get to the point where you don't need anybody to notice you to validate you. You don't need an audience. You don't need an audience. You don't need applause. You don't need confirmation. Your walk has to be for you. Your grind has to be for you. Your journey has to be for you. Because if you're chasing attention, you're gonna quit the second the crowd turns away. But if you're chasing purpose, if you're chasing destiny, then silence becomes your sanctuary, not your sentence. It's in the alone seasons that you sharpen yourself. It's in the alone seasons that you find out who you are. See, when it's just you and the dream and nobody clapping, nobody reposting, nobody hyping you up, that's when you find out if you're serious or not. That's when you find out if the dream is real or just a cute idea. Because let me tell you something, the dream demands solitude sometimes. The dream demands that you walk when it's just you and your footprints in the dust. The dream demands that you believe when there's nothing around you to prove you're right. The dream demands that you move forward even when every voice outside you says, a turn back. You're gonna have to get comfortable walking into rooms where nobody knows your name. You're gonna have to get used to showing up with excellence even when no one's watching. You're gonna have to master doing your best work when it feels like no one cares. Because that's how you build strength. That's how you build real, unshakable character. When you can keep walking without applause, that's when you become unstoppable. When you can keep grinding without a pat on the back, that's when you become undeniable. When you can keep believing when it looks stupid to everyone else, that's when you separate yourself from the rest. You've got to be so locked in on where you're going that you don't flinch when they leave. You don't slow down when they ignore you. You don't shrink back when they doubt you. You but shrink back when they doubt you. You keep walking, you keep showing up. You keep planting seeds. You keep building brick by brick, step by step, day after day, even when it feels like nothing's happening. Because something is happening. Growth doesn't always announce itself. Progress doesn't always shout from the rooftops. Sometimes progress is silent. Sometimes success is invisible in the beginning. But every step you take when nobody's looking is a step closer to the life you were built for. Every sacrifice you make in private will show up in public when the time is right. You don't need the world to believe in you first. You need to believe in you first. You don't need their validation. You don't need their approval. You don't need their understanding because most of them can't see what you see anyway. Most of them can't hear the calling you hear anyway. Most of them aren't equipped to carry the vision you carry. That's why it was given to you, not them. So stop waiting for permission to walk like you already know who you are. Stop waiting for cosigns to start building what's been burning inside you. Stop waiting for applause to act like you're worthy. Walk like it's already yours. Walk like the promise is already fulfilled. Walk like the dream is already a reality. Because the truth is, you become it long before you arrive at it. You've got to embody greatness before the world ever calls you great. You've got to live like a champion before anyone puts a medal around your neck. You've got to move like a king or queen before anyone hands you a crown. It's in your walk. It's in your energy. It's in the way you refuse to quit even when quitting would be easier. And listen, eventually the world will have no choice but to notice. They won't be able to ignore the consistency. They won't be able to overlook the resilience. They won't be able to deny the results. They might not clap at the beginning, but they'll have to clap at the end. They might not believe in you today, but one day they'll be quoting you, studying you, trying to figure out how you did it. But none of that matters as much as what happens inside you. You're not walking alone just to prove them wrong. You're walking alone to prove yourself right. You're walking alone to honor the fire that won't die inside you. You're walking alone because you understand that greatness is not built on the cheers of others. It's built on the courage to keep moving when the only voice you hear is your own. So if you find yourself walking alone right now, if you find yourself grinding in the dark while it feels like nobody's paying attention, I need you to know you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're not behind. You're not forgotten. You're being prepared. You're being refined. You're being shaped into the kind of person who doesn't just reach greatness, but who deserves it. Keep walking. Keep believing. Keep becoming. Because one day the same world that ignored you will have no choice but to respect the masterpiece you were busy building in the dark. You've got to understand at the end of the day, it's never been about who believed in you. It's never been about who clapped for you. It's never been about who stayed or who left. It's always been about you, your fire, your walk, your faith. Your refusal to break when everything around you tried to bend you. You weren't built to depend on the world's approval. You weren't designed to beg for belief. You were created to be your own hero, to stand when nobody else would stand for you, to believe when everybody else turned away, to rise when even the ground beneath you felt like it was giving out. Every lonely step, every silent night, every tear they didn't see, it all meant something. It was building you. It was breaking the old you down so the real you could stand up stronger than ever. It wasn't punishment. It was preparation. It wasn't rejection. It was redirection. It wasn't failure. It was fire making you unstoppable. And now it's your time. Your time to stop waiting. Your time to stop doubting. Your time to stop looking around for someone to save you. Because everything you need is already inside you. The dream, the fire, the power, the promise. It's been yours the whole time. The whole time. So walk like it, fight like it, build like it. Don't you dare wait another second for the world to give you permission to be great. You are your permission. You are your proof. You are your power. Be your own hero. Be the one you've been waiting for.